no idea.
You are shifting around.
I mean, that's the thing. Is I have no idea. No one knows until it happens. Oh man.
One, two, two. One, two, three, four, five, six. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. 1, 2. Hello, beautiful. Well, hello, beautiful people. This is indeed an exciting day. Why? I tell you, well, Elon Musk has got his Starship ready for launch, which means only one thing. It could be absolutely fantastic and he achieved everything, or it could be a spectacular failure. But whatever happens, this is a historic day. This is technically the biggest space rocket ever launched. And I was at work when they launched the SLS, and I managed to get to a screen and watch NASA launch the Orion spacecraft into orbit. And that was exciting. I'm so over the moon that NASA is going back to outer space. And, well, they are already in outer space, but I'm so over the moon that they are heading back to the moon. But if Elon Musk, if there is any measure of success in what's going to take place today, it means that, it means very likely that Elon Musk will head to the moon and perhaps even Mars as well. So I'm 4 minutes away. I'll show you now. This is the Whackstar studio. There you go. I'm all set up, ready to go. I'm about 4 minutes away from the SpaceX live stream to go live. And so in essence, I take no credit for the images of this as much as I would love to be there and witness the launch. But when the SpaceX video goes live, I'm gonna put it on and stream it. And so basically what you're gonna get, if you want to tune in with me, or you come back and tune on with me a little bit later on, we can watch this launch together. I've got the chat open on my computer. We'll just go back to the studio. I've got a computer here. You can't see it on this camera here, and the lights are off. I've kept the studio lights off today just to have a little bit more atmospheric experience. So I've got the live chat up there. So if you want to say something to me, that is great. If you don't and just want to enjoy it, or otherwise, ultimately you can go over to the live stream that SpaceX is doing and watch it on your own without my crazy little commentary that's taking place. So this is the biggest rocket launch ever. Whew. And if any, as I said earlier, any measure of success is taken from this trip, it could mean that it won't be long before humanity is a multi-planet species. Moon first, then Mars, and then who knows? Right? It's very interesting that the European Space Agency earlier last week announced the fact that they had a successful launch for a Jupiter mission to explore some of the moons there. And there is evidence to suggest that maybe even some of those moons could be in some way habitable, certainly if there is water available as well. So 1 minute 40 seconds thereabouts until the live stream starts on SpaceX. And as I said, this is not my camera angle or anything like that. This is the direct SpaceX video. So I take no credit for this, but I do. I just wanted to, I don't know, film me watching the biggest space launch in history. And there's been good news for Kenya as well, where I'm based as well this week. Kenya had a successful launch of a satellite that belongs to this nation, which is fantastic as well. That happened a couple of weeks ago, also on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. So there is a Kenyan satellite now up in outer space, which is great. I think when I was growing up, there was, what's the word? There was excitement about the space shuttles going, and I managed to go and see a space shuttle last year, the Atlantis in Cape Canaveral, and that was a pretty amazing experience, just to see something that had been designed to put humans into space and to work and to study, do science. And of course the International Space Station was built in my lifetime as well, although there's talk about it now sort of coming to the end of its life, certainly in the next few bits. Just like SpaceX, they've the countdown took place. I'll just show you quickly. Put the screen on there. It was counting down very, very nicely, and then oh my goodness, it just disappeared. So hopefully it will reappear in a minute. There's a few other live streamers there at the moment. Let me just it's there. You go. You saw it right there. Here it is. The SpaceX sign is up. Let me just pop me in the top right hand corner there. This is exciting. The good old SpaceX logo. And there is some audio coming in. Let me just adjust that before it blows our brains out. There we go. There is some audio coming through. Okay, we've got SpaceX. Sorry if that blew your brains out. So we got some funky SpaceX audio. It's very exciting. The live stream has just started, which means that only means one thing, that we're getting closer to launch. Like I say, this is my response to something very exciting. I'm sure that there are other people out there, like the everyday astronauts, or like other amazing space content YouTubers watching this and doing a much better commentary than me. This is just purely me filming my response to something that is historic. And I think with Elon Musk, I think what I love about his principle, even a failure is good science for them. They'll go away and work out what went wrong and hopefully do it again. Now, I believe, if I read correctly earlier today, that if there isn't a launch today, there's another launch in 2 days' time. So I'll stream that again, because the good news is that I'm still on vacation, which is fantastic. So I can do these live things. Ha! This is very exciting. If you're on the live stream, it's great to have you here. My name is Wayne Hackman, aka Whackstar. I'm just a general enthusiast of anything to do with outer space, technology, ham radio, you name it. I've got all sorts of cool things on my YouTube channel, so do go check that out and throw some likes on some of my videos. And we're watching the SpaceX stream together of SpaceX's Starship, which is the biggest rocket humanity has ever launched. Well, technically, it might still not launch. It might just be a massive explosion on the on the launch pad, which, in fairness, not that I want that to happen, would be pretty spectacular. Actually, when I was at Cape Canaveral last year I took a what's the word? A tour around all of the different launch pads, and SpaceX there obviously has their Falcon 9 launch pads. Amazing complex of what they do. We've got some funky aerial shots now of the Boca Chica site. There is one of them. Yes, I know. I've watched all of these. Yes, that was spectacular. That was spectacular too. And then, yeah, it got down and then exploded. And then I think this is the one that landed, wasn't it? It was 4 attempts, wasn't it? Yeah, look at this. So they know they can land the top section. If you are on the stream, just let me know the audio is working okay, and perhaps say hi. And keep the dialogue going. Well, it's nice to be on my own. If you just tuned in, my name is Wayne Hackman, general space enthusiast. Looking forward to seeing the biggest rocket in human history being launched, or at the very least exploding, or maybe even scrubbed. I think they've got a two-day launch window, so they can do it again in 2 days. So if we're not successful today, we'll go and do it in a few weeks.
You're looking at a live view of Starship as it awaits
So
its
40
first
minutes.
ever integrated flight test from Starbase, Texas, in just a little over from 40 minutes from now.
If you're wondering why I'm looking this
Today
way,
we're hoping to see
my
our
monitor
Super
is
Heavy
here.
booster and
So
Starship
sorry about my
spacecraft,
ear shot.
collectively referred to as Starship, lift off together for the first time. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kate Tice, Quality Systems Engineering Manager here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California.
And I'm Shiva Bharadwaj, a space operations engineer here at SpaceX. Now, as many of you know, Starship is SpaceX's latest and largest vehicle developed to date. It represents a fully reusable transportation system designed to carry both crew and cargo to Earth orbit.
And that's the big
Mars,
difference
and
between the
beyond.
SLS.
If you've been following the development of Starship over the last
That's
couple
why
of
this
years,
is so
you know,
groundbreaking.
we've been doing a lot of testing leading up to this big one. Once fully developed, it will be the world's most powerful launch vehicle with twice
I
the
know.
thrust of Saturn V
Wow, I
rocket
didn't realize it was
and the
twice the
ability to
thrust.
carry up to 150 metric
That's
tons to
impressive
orbit.
as well. Imagine
For
what we can
reference,
put
a
into outer
1 liter
space.
bottle of water is 1 kilogram, so 150 metric tons is basically 150,000 1 liter bottles of water, or as I like to think of it, one rather lonely blue whale.
Today's
was
test
that
will
wasn't
be
a Star
the
Trek
first of
reference.
many
No,
as
they
we
were
work
humpback
towards
whales, weren't they?
transitioning Starship from a developmental to an operational program. Our primary objective today is to gather as much data as we can around the fully integrated vehicles. That means the booster and the Starship and the ground
They
system.
look like they've got
While we have
great
flown
weather
Starship
there.
in the past, this will be the first attempt of Super Heavy and the first opportunity to validate how the two vehicles operate together.
Any data
Of course,
that we
the top
get
part they've
helps
tested, the
improve
bottom part
that
they
helps improve
haven't.
the future builds of Starship will be considered a success for the purposes of today's test. Every milestone beyond that is icing on the cake. The further we fly, the more data we can collect. If all goes well, today's flight test could last as long as 90 minutes from
90
liftoff
minutes. My
to an
goodness.
expected
Okay, we're in for a
hard
long
ocean
stream
landing
today,
for
guys.
Starship.
Hopefully
Whether
my
we end the
internet
test
connection
with
will
a
be
hard
stable
landing or a
throughout.
rapid unscheduled disassembly, or some combination of both, excitement is pretty much guaranteed.
Now, if it does all go well, Super
Let's hope
Heavy
it
will
does go
fire
well.
up its 33 Raptor
Now,
engines.
it's coming
and it'll
down
lift
somewhere
off
near
from the
Hawaii.
launch pad
Let me see if
down
my
in South Texas.
facts are right.
About 3 minutes into the flight, we're going to hope to see the Super Heavy separate from the Starship spacecraft.
Okay, so
It'll
that's a
then
critical
perform
moment.
a flip maneuver.
Ooh.
So there's that. You can see that on your screen. And then it'll boost back in order to make a hard landing in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, it's, okay, they're not going to
And
press
while that's happening, we hope to see Starship's 6-second stage engines ignite and watch as Starship coasts for about an hour at altitudes ranging between 150 and
Okay, so you're gonna do a full
250
orbit.
kilometers before re-entering Earth's atmosphere and make its own hard landing in the Pacific Ocean about 250-ish kilometers offshore.
Okay, fine. So they're not going to do a full
getting
orbit.
great camera views right now, but that's because we are on the launch pad, so we've got umbilicals and connections. straight to the vehicle, but we aren't expecting to get very many good views once we get
You can
past
see the
Whackstar's
countdown much better.
operation.
Yeah, we do promise though, for any views that we do get, we will share them in real time. We are watching live.
So I'm
with you
watching
all,
this
so,
live in Kenya.
we're excited to see those views
So
ourselves
for us,
as well.
It's
Now, in a
about
little bit,
20
we are going to
to
take a
4.
closer look at the vehicle and the launch pad. But first, today is a super exciting day.
If you're on the stream, say
Everyone on
hi.
the teams
We can
across
get the
Starship
dialogue going.
have
I've
been
got
preparing,
my
doing a number
computer
of
all
tests
set
and
up
dress
just over
rehearsals
there.
for today's launch attempt.
Yeah, that's
I can
exactly
see that
right.
there are
In
a few
fact,
people on the
we saw a
stream
nice
right
little
now
recap
watching this
of
with
those
me.
tests in the intro video to today's webcast. For those of you that are following along, you know that many of those tests ended in those rapid unscheduled disassemblies, or RUDs as we like to call them. And
Basically
it's been a long
explosions.
road to today. Just in 2022
Brilliant.
alone, we had 9 static fires. We've had a couple of wet dress rehearsals. And of course, the launch control team has done numerous simulations as well.
I was watching this.
A major shout out to the teams that have been preparing for today's full up integrated test.
I was watching this on the other day, and that
Command
you know,
at
this
the
is one of the
Texas
few launch
control
pads that
team.
you can get up really close to the rockets. I don't know how long it
Yeah,
will be.
that right
This
there
is
is
a
our South
success.
Texas
I
Launch
imagine
Control Center.
security
That
around the
is,
site is
basically
just going
ground
to go up.
zero for everything that is happening today, in addition to a couple other control rooms that we have operating as well, with operators on console, including the Mission Control Center here behind us here in Hawthorne, California. But with that being said, our very own Zachary Lupin is one of our SpaceX employees at our watch event in South Padre Island. Hey, Zach, how are things going on the ground?
There's a huge
It
amount
is
of
a
propellant
great
in that.
day
If that
for
thing
test launch today,
explodes,
Kate. Hello, everyone. My name is
That
Zachary
is
Lupin.
gonna
and I'm
be
an avionics
quite
reliability
remarkable.
engineer here at SpaceX, and I'm
Let's
at the
hope
Cameron
not, though.
County
We don't want
Amphitheater,
it to
where a
explode.
growing number of SpaceX employees are gathering to watch what we hope is the first liftoff of a fully integrated Starship. Now, the Starship team has worked incredibly hard for today's launch test. Over the past weekend, teams held a launch readiness review, which included a comprehensive review of all of our vehicle systems, looking at avionics, GNC, communications, software, structures.
So the big
as well as
difference
our
between
Raptor
this
engines
one and the
propulsion in
NASA
general.
Space Launch System is
Now,
that this,
We
in
are only
theory,
about
will
5
be
miles
fully
away from the launch pad,
reusable.
so it's a pretty
With the
good
Space
view for today.
Launch
And as we
System,
get into
the only bit that comes
as
back
we
to
start
Earth
to
is the
approach
Orion capsule.
T-0, everyone here is clearly very excited for the events that are happening today. So as we get closer to T0, I'm going to throw it back to Hawthorne to talk more about a rocket.
Awesome.
she
Thanks
is.
so much, Zach. And we've actually got a little bit of a crowd forming behind us, too. Now, we've got a shot of Starship on the screen. The entire Starship structure you see is made of stainless steel. And when that's fully stacked, it stands about 120 meters tall and about 9 meters around. To help you give a sense of just how big that is, we've captured a video of some of our teams doing final integration prep work in advance of today's test flight.
Just like Falcon 9, Starship has 2 stages, which we will talk a little bit more
So
about
we know
in
they've
a
tested
minute.
the first
But
stage,
in
I mean the
addition
second
to those
stage.
2 stages, Starship actually has a 3rd stage called Stage 0. It consists of all the launch pad infrastructure built around the rocket. You can see a great view of it there on your screen. It's truly an engineering
Thanks for
feat
joining
in
the
its
stream
own
if
right.
you're watching this with
And I
me.
feel like it's something we don't talk about very often. There's a lot of infrastructure that goes into fueling and preparing the launch vehicle before a large test like this, really any launch. Now, let's talk about Super Heavy. The name says it all. It's super, it's heavy, it's super heavy. It goes by some other names, the first stage or the booster, but whatever you call it, the Super Heavy will be the vehicle responsible for powering
Okay.
Starship against that mighty gravitational pull we've got here on Earth. And when it's fully operational, it's going to get Starship to orbit.
So the
booster
Super Heavy, I
alone
thought
stands
the
about
whole thing
7
was called
meters
Super
tall
Heavy.
and
Obviously,
is
it's just
about the
the
same
bottom part.
height as a fully integrated Falcon 9,
I'm
but
learning.
with a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and with 33 much larger engines.
Yeah, and having those engines, and oh my gosh, I love this shot. We can see looking up into the launch mount at the 33 engines on the booster. Those are each of the Raptor engines that's going to power today's launch attempt.
Yeah, this is an incredible view. One of my favorite views that we're going to get today. We don't have this kind of view on our Falcon 9 launches, so this is so exciting to see. You can even make out the paint markers indicating which engine is which. Like we said, there are 33 of them. So there's a lot of fire that's going to be coming out from those engines in just over 31 minutes from now. As we mentioned before, there are 33 of them on the Super Heavy, the booster. And we don't see it right now, but the cluster in the center are the ones that are actually going to gimbal and help steer the booster back down for its.
It's a real shame that this whole thing is
and they're a little bit different, Kate, than our Falcon engines. So on Falcon, we use a gas generator cycle. Here's a fantastic shot, actually, at the inner stage. So we can see the 6 engines that are on the ship side, 3 gimbaling in the middle,
so
and then the vacuum engines
between the Super Heavy and the Starship
ones on the other side, the cluster in the middle here. So Raptor's a little bit different. It uses something called stage combustion, which means we basically pre-burn both the fuel side and the oxide, and then get those up to the right temperatures and pressures, and then mix them in the combustion chamber. It allows us to get higher thrust and higher efficiency on these engines than on Falcon 9. Now, Super Heavy also has 4 grid fins to assist with orienting itself during the return back to Earth, as today is the fully integrated flight test. And the first one, we're focusing on safely testing just the fundamental systems and operations on the vehicle. So what that means is we won't be attempting to land on land today. Instead, Super Heavy is going to be making that hard water landing in the Gulf.
Wanted to see those things called the chopsticks catch it, but I guess that will come.
And makes up the top portion of the vehicle. It's designed for carrying passengers and cargo between destinations on Earth, Earth orbit, and planetary destinations. It stands 50 meters tall, a little taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's comprised of 6 Raptors. We saw those just moments ago. 3 of them are optimized for sea level, and the other 3 are vacuum engines. And they're optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. They provide a maximum of 258,000 tons of thrust in vacuum. The spacecraft is also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight
section between the rockets between Starship and Super Heavy.
Now you can see the entire stack is vertical, and that's because Starship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing, as opposed to taking off and landing like an airplane. And that's really important because we don't have runways on the Moon and Mars. Fortunately, gravity at both of those destinations is not nearly as high as it is here on Earth. On Mars, it's about a third of what Earth's gravity is. And on the Moon, the gravity is just a sixth of what it is here. So Starship can take off in both of those cases without needing the Super Heavy booster like we need here on Earth. Now, for today's test, Starship does not have its landing legs attached, and that's because we aren't going to be attempting to return to the launch site or land on land. It's going to be doing another hard water landing at the end of today's test.
We can't wait. Starship is wrapped in a heat shield, which is composed of 18,000 hexagonal ceramic tiles designed to insulate the vehicle during atmospheric entry, where temperatures can be as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. The hexscape tiles, like these ones that we have here, roughly make up about 2/3 of the vehicle. There's a couple of different geometries. The one that I have is for the circular portions of the vehicle, so it has this curvature to it. And the one that Shiva has.
Yeah, this kind of is a hexagonal shape, and there's several thousand of these all across the body of the vehicle. And it's worth saying we need these because when a spacecraft re-enters from orbital velocity, it's going faster than the speed of sound and causes a lot of heat to build up that has to get dissipated by these heat shield tiles.
Yeah, one thing that's really cool about these is they're super lightweight. Even just holding them, we're able to even just hear how hollow they are because of the construction. But they do a great job of dispersing that heat during that atmospheric reentry. We actually produce these in-house at what we like to call the SpaceX bakeries. They're located in Texas and Florida. So it's something that we designed and and build in-house. And
So
like we said,
there are
there's
all those heat
thousands of
tiles on
them.
that side.
You can kind of see them on the exterior of the vehicle. So at this point in time, we are at T-minus 27 minutes and 18 seconds. So let's head on over
27
to
minutes.
John Insprucker for an update on the countdown.
Fantastic.
Hey, John.
Thanks, Kate, and good morning. I'm John Insprucker, Principal Integration Engineer
Looks
here
like
at
he's in
SpaceX.
Florida.
We're currently loading propellant from the ground system into both the first and second stages. Now, both vehicles use the same two propellants. Our fuel is liquid methane at a temperature of just over 100 kelvins,
Cow
about
juice.
minus 272 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is a different fuel from Falcon 9, where we use RP1 kerosene. And our oxidizer is liquid oxygen, the same as Falcon 9. But because there's no oxygen in space to support combustion, we have to bring our
Oh,
own.
yes.
Now, a little bit of a recap. We did the go, no go poll at T-minus 1 hour and 45 minutes. And once the team gave their goes, we polled about 20 folks. We started loading propellants onto the booster at T-minus 1 hour and 39
Good for
minutes.
weather.
And at T-minus 1 hour and 22 minutes, we began propellant loading of the ship, the second stage on Starship. Now, LOX loading of the second stage main tank is almost complete right now, but we'll actually stretch it out and wrap it up and finish at T-minus 5 minutes. And then at T-minus 3 minutes, as the booster finishes loading, the vehicle will be fully loaded with just over 10 million pounds propellant.
Wow.
Now, currently in the countdown, we've just passed the T-minus 26 minute mark. The good news is weather's looking good.
Yeah, that's
You can see
beautiful
the
there, eh?
blue skies there on the camera views from the drone. The only thing we're watching is winds. They are within limits at ground level.
That's a little bit
We
weird.
expect they may pick up a little bit as we get farther into the window should we need to go that far.
Okay.
But the good news right now is that the weather is looking good. The range also is looking pretty good. We've moved almost all the boats out of the keep out zone overnight. We are working one, but we're still underway. And right now, as a reminder, if for
Glad
any
it's a day
reason we do
launch.
not make our test flight today, we have backup launch windows. This could be the 24, 48 hours after today, and it'll depend on how far we get to the countdown.
Well, then I'll
We're
be
coming
back.
up on
I'm on
25
holiday all
minutes to
week.
go. Everything is looking good, Jake.
Ah,
To
this is
make life
exciting, guys.
multi-planetary, we need a fully reusable vehicle that's capable of carrying a huge amount of cargo and a lot of people to orbit and have a pretty quick turnaround. The idea is to effectively reuse launch vehicles just like airplanes. Crowd is getting excited here.
I wonder what that's-
Behind mission control, as you can hear. Now, imagine
They've obviously
if you
hit a
had to wait
landmark
for a
or
new
something.
airplane to be constructed every time you wanted to fly. You rarely go anywhere, and it would probably be completely unaffordable for most of us. In order for us to get to Mars and back with lots
And
of
that's what I love about
multiple
Elon
times,
Musk's vision.
usability is a must.
Now, in the near term and a bit closer to home here on Earth, Starship will be critical to other programs as well. Once it's operational, Starship will deliver the full-size and upgraded version of our Starlink satellites. And that's super exciting because
That is exciting
our
because I'm
next
using
generation
Starlink
satellites
right now
represent a
from
step
Kenya.
forward in Starlink's
You're watching the
capabilities
stream
and will
through a
provide
Starlink
more bandwidth
connection,
and increased reliability,
which is, I don't know how good it is. Let me know on the chat.
Millions
But,
of people around the world with high-speed internet.
yeah.
And of course, Starship will fly a number of human spaceflight missions in the lead up
Then
to our first
it'll
missions
return
to
and land,
Mars.
so it'll just make.
Entrepreneur
Wow.
and pilot Jared Isaacman will command the first human spaceflight on Starship as part of the Polaris
Wow.
program. Jared served as a commander for Inspiration 4, the first all-civilian mission to orbit. Inspiration 4 launched aboard our Dragon spacecraft and Falcon 9 in September 2021, raising over $240 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Oh yeah,
The
I
first
watched that
human
too. That was a
spaceflight on
phenomenal.
Starship will launch
I
as part of
wish
the
I'd
Polaris
planned
program,
for that.
and you can learn more about that series of missions at polarisprogram.com.
Now, our first lunar mission around the moon, aboard
Yeah.
Starship, will be led by Japanese entrepreneur Yusaku Maezawa, also known as MZ. MZ flew to space for the first time in December 2021, and he purchased all of the seats aboard Starship's first lunar mission in order to give artists and creators from all over the world the opportunity to go. And the hope is that what they will create in space will further inspire all of us here back on planet Earth. Now, over 1 million people
Yeah.
applied for this mission, and earlier this year, they announced the final 8 crew members were selected. And you can learn more about them and MZ's mission at dearmoon.earth.
That's going to be
Dennis
phenomenal
and
too.
Akiko Tito are the first 2 crew members announced to fly on Starship's second commercial spaceflight around the moon. This will be Dennis's second mission to space after becoming the first commercial astronaut to visit the International Space Station in 2001. And Akiko will be among the first women to fly around the moon on the Starship. The Titos joined the mission to contribute to SpaceX's long-term goal to advance human spaceflight and help make life multiplanetary.
SpaceX is also incredibly honored to be part of NASA's Artemis program to establish a sustainable presence on the moon to prepare for missions to Mars.
Successful.
Starship's early test launches, followed by those regular Starlink deployment missions
rely
and
more and more
propellant
on this
transfer
technology,
demonstrations, are directly advancing NASA's Artemis program, along with SpaceX's ongoing mission to make life multiplanetary.
SpaceX will conduct an uncrewed demonstration mission to the moon prior to the Artemis 3 mission, which will mark humanity's first return to the lunar surface in more than 50
So we're coming up
years.
to the 20-minute mark,
exciting
people.
future, but let's talk a little about how we got to today.
Now, Starship testing ramped up in July of 2019 with the Star Hopper prototype.
I
It's
remember
sort of
watching
a
that. That was
short
amazing.
version of the Starship that we see today. There's a picture of it on your screen, the lovable water tower. Now, standing at just over 18 meters tall, the Starhopper had a single engine and was test flown to perform landing and low-level altitude maneuvers. Starship's initial flight test was a hop that reached about 20 meters in altitude. This was followed by a second hop, the one that we've got on our screen, that rose to 150 meters in altitude. We took a little jaunt away from the launch pad and ended up landing about 100 meters or so further away from it, and you can see that on your screen. Now, notably, this was the first time that we had used a Raptor engine in flight and demonstrated control of this kind.
As a Star Wars fan, I can't not see a flying R2-D2 there. Now, after a series of 150-meter hop tests with earlier prototypes, the Starship program saw a huge breakthrough during a test flight of the vehicle known as serial number 8, or SN8. SN8 demonstrated a first-of-its-kind controlled aerodynamic descent and landing flip maneuver.
That's right.
Yes, I'm talking about the belly flop. This 12.5
Imagine being
kilometer
on that
hop
when they do that. It'll be
test took place December 2020.
absolutely
And
terrifying.
saw the SN8 prototype ascend to an altitude of 12.5 kilometers and conduct a belly flop maneuver. While it didn't stick the landing, the test was a major milestone in the development of Starship.
I love seeing the belly flop maneuver. Now, testing continued with the prototype on serial number 9. That was a 10-kilometer flight test in February of 2021.
That's right.
We had a nominal
2021,
ascent, engine cutoff, reorientation, and controlled descent were stable. However, we unfortunately had a dramatic ending to the end of that
That
flight
was a big
when we had a
explosion.
failure on its engine to relight. That resulted in one of those rapid unscheduled disassemblies. But what was really, really exciting
I love the way
about
they
both
just don't
serial
say
numbers 8
crash.
and 9 is how quickly we were able to achieve just our primary objectives in those 2 high-altitude test flights. In addition to getting lots of great data, Starship successfully demonstrated control of the vehicle and subsonic re-entry capability.
Sheesh.
Ultimately, we performed 9 Starship high-altitude test flights in total, and in May of 2021, SN15 launched from Starbase, reached an altitude of about
this one
10
made it down and
kilometers,
then
performed a
exploded,
number
didn't
of maneuvers, and safely returned to the launch site. This was the first Starship prototype to fly, control its descent, safely land, and to be recovered in one piece.
Oh, okay.
Now,
I thought there was one that
having
almost
achieved
made
that
it down and
success
then
in our
exploded.
suborbital campaign, one of the next big challenges for upper stage reusability is to survive the high heating hypersonic phase of entry. Combined with
Let's
the
see if that
ability
heat
to
tile
refill
works.
our Starship's tank with fuel and oxygen while on orbit is what will enable a fully reusable transportation
You're wondering why
system
I'm looking
that's
this way.
designed
My
to carry
monitor's
both
here.
crew
The
and
camera's there,
cargo
not
on
set
these
up very
long
well. I'm sorry
duration
about that.
interplanetary flights, and that's ultimately what will help humanity return to the moon and travel to Mars and beyond in our solar system.
So as you can tell, it is nothing but an iterative process
So
to
17
get to the point where
minutes
we are
to
today
go.
and where we will go from here. That iteration is a core process of how we work here at SpaceX. We like to fly and we like to test early and often both on the side of hardware and software.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, Kate. Now, we are continuing
I
our
think
countdown.
They
to
really do need
Starship
to make
liftoff.
this a success. I
Just
think
over
I'd be
17
intrigued to know
minutes from
what
now.
Elon
So,
Musk's
of course, let's
financials
check
are
in with
looking
John
like at the
for
moment.
another status update. John?
Shiva, clock is coming up on T-minus 17 minutes from liftoff. We're continuing to click towards zero.
Thanks for
Right
joining
now,
me on
we've
the
just
stream,
begun
everybody.
listening in. The
I know
first
you
stage
can go over
is
to the
working
Star
a pressurization issue. They're troubleshooting that right
SpaceX
now.
website to watch this, but
Now, we do have the
It's nice to
option,
watch
if
it with
need be,
people.
if we can't solve this, then we would hold the count and probably treat today as a wet dress and not be able to launch. However, we are continuing to do propellant loading on both the Super Heavy and the ship stages. Now, most recently, we began loading liquid oxygen and methane fuel into the header tanks on Starship. At the very
Okay.
top, just underneath the nose there are two small spherical tanks. That's where the fuel and liquid oxygen header tanks are. That started at T-minus 27 minutes, and that propellant loading will continue until T-minus 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
We'll also continue loading the main tanks of
Okay,
the
that's a
Starship
critical
second stage,
moment.
although they're pretty much full right now. Everything will drain back as we get ready for launch at T-minus 5 minutes. Now, on the first stage, we're continuing to load the massive amount of propellant onto the Super Heavy booster. That's going to continue until T-minus 3 minutes. You can see the frost line on some of the views as both liquid methane and liquid oxygen go into the tank. It's 16 minutes and counting. We're also currently configuring the launch pad for liftoff. The booster hold downs are being prepared for the release at liftoff, and the second stage quick disconnect is beginning its configuration for release. The liquid oxygen and methane that are going into the second stage go through that quick disconnect. You can see at some of the views, the arm that comes out just at the base of the second stage, that'll move out of the way as we
Chopsticks, I
lift
think
off.
it's
At the
unofficial.
same time, the SpaceX team continues to check in with the Coast Guard. We're working one boat that's in the safety perimeter. They are working to get that boat out of the way. We cleared
Excuse me.
several other boats out overnight. We're down to one, and we expect that'll be clear so that we can proceed with launch out over the Gulf of Mexico. But as a reminder, T-minus 15 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. We're
So,
working an issue on the first stage, and we'll bring an update as we get more insight into that issue.
okay, that's not sounding great, that there might be an issue.
Now, today's test flight is taking place out of
Alexa,
our Starbase
stop.
facility in South Texas. And
I set
that
an
facility
Alexa
has
timer
gone
to
through
remind
a
me to tune
tremendous
in.
amount of change and growth in a really short
Before I
period of
decided
time.
to do the live stream.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
not much even existed there. It was a very different scene, as you can see by that photo there on your screen. Fast forward to today, and the
Yes,
team
a
is rolling out an
remarkable
entire
difference.
production line.
Yeah, last year they built 4 Starship Super Heavy boosters, 5 Starships, our 200th Raptor 2 engine, and this year they're targeting 5 boosters, 8 Starships in production 2023. And really, you do need a production system to rapidly iterate, like we were talking about earlier, on the design of the vehicle as we learn more about it from these large tests.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulling on my industrial engineering background, system fill is something that is critical to that goal. Being able to produce and launch multiple Starships.
Mitch,
we have
thanks
to
for
have
sending me
a
a
system full
direct
of
message.
those production vehicles, and we iterate on
good to
each
see you,
one.
mate.
So even
Is
the
the stream
next
okay?
Starship
I hope
that
it is.
will fly in whatever the next test is
Sheesh.
will be different than the one
You've
that
hung
you see
around
there
since
on
the
screen.
PBX video as well. That was a
Now,
long time
employees
ago.
who have
I've learned a
been
lot
at
since
SpaceX
then. Great to
a
have
while
you here,
say that
buddy.
Starbase does remind them of the early Falcon 1 days.
I don't think I'm going to
moving
be
a
saying much
whole
either.
lot
I'm just
faster.
really excited by
The
this.
team at Starbase is expanding as fast as the facilities are, and if you've ever wondered what life at Starbase is like, here's a quick peek.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting moment. Super heavy. I'm excited. I'm excited by this. I wish I could have live streamed the SLS, and but I was at work at the time, so I managed to just find a couple of minutes to watch the launch, and I was just so excited by that. And now here we are, the biggest rocket ever launched, or the biggest rocket ever exploded. It was really interesting that when we were in Cape Canaveral last year, the they were getting a bit annoyed about the fact that, and this is NASA, getting annoyed that Elon Musk was building his chopstick thing. They said that if this thing explodes, it would destroy all of these legacy pads. But sheesh, progress though. You've got to take risks, haven't you? So there it is, ready to go. There were some spectacular crashes.
Starbase directly
But I
employs
don't
more
think
than
that's going to be the case today.
1,800 employees and is actually the largest employer in the area.
Yeah, and from that video, you can really tell, like, it's a beautiful location. It's close to the ocean. There's tons of wildlife. And that's because being close to the equator is actually a fantastic way to get to orbit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that we have so
We
many
saw the
employee
Chinese
events that
rocket
allow us to
launch. That's
participate,
fantastic.
with ocean cleanup
We saw a
and
SpaceX
other
launch
environmental
last year.
efforts, there.
I was
We'd
really
also
pleased
like
with
to
that. That
thank
was
Cameron
amazing.
County for being so supportive for all of our work in that area.
But this would
Now,
be
in
something
addition to
else.
Starbase, we'll soon be adding another Texas location to the SpaceX family. We're opening a new facility in Bastrop, Texas, just outside of Austin, to support Starlink hardware production.
Oh,
The new
okay.
facility will be over
Which, incidentally, you're
500,000
watching
square
on at
feet
the
of
moment. I am
manufacturing
on a
space, and
Starlink
the team
connection.
has already started hiring.
First
And
one
we
in
have all
Kenya,
kinds of
which I'm very
openings in
excited about.
production and manufacturing for technicians and leadership
Like
and
they
manufacturing engineers, all
superimposed
kinds of site support roles. Basically, if you can think of a role, we're probably hiring for it.
So
Teslas
if you're
and
interested in
also-
helping expand human life to other planets or helping internet access here on Earth, consider becoming part of the SpaceX team at spacex.com/careers. Now, with that, let's tap back in with Zach down at
Yeah,
Starbase
that would
one
be
last
a
time
view
before
and a
launch.
half, that
Howdy,
one.
Zach.
Hello, Kate and Shiva again. You can really feel the energy here at South Padre Island as more
10
of the
minutes,
SpaceX
everybody.
team have gathered. We're
They
standing
did
just
mention there
over
was a
5
problem
miles
though
away
with
from
the
the launch
Starship
mount.
sector.
And so
Hopefully
from here,
troubleshooted
we've got
that.
a very nice view. I would basically say these are some of the best front row seats you could get, and might I
Imagine.
add, beachside as well. Now, the Starship team has worked incredibly hard to get ready for this test, and we're all clearly excited for T0. And as we get into the final moments, one issue that could hold the countdown or cancel the test altogether is if a boat enters the safety
Oh,
perimeter.
really? Okay.
Now, over my
Wow,
shoulder
so
is the
someone
Gulf
could really
of
screw that
Mexico,
up.
which is normally very open to all of the boaters and fishers. However, today, SpaceX is closely coordinating with the United States Coast Guard to establish a safe zone and ensure public safety. And up to T0, SpaceX is in regular communication with the Coast Guard to ensure there are no boats in the area leading up to the launch.
Doing a
Now, fingers
selfie to
crossed
send
that
to one
that
of my
does not
friends, trying to
happen.
persuade him to log into
Now,
the stream.
I'll throw it back
He's
to the
just
folks
joined
at
us. It's
Hawthorne
great
as
to
we
have
get
you here.
closer
We're
and closer
watching
to that
the
T-0.
largest man-made rocket being launched or exploding ever. This is going to be remarkable. We've got 9 minutes until launch.
We're just inside T-minus 9 minutes and counting. We're listening on one of the background loops right now. Flight director is talking about the issue we've had on first stage, working the pressurization system. Decision right now is that we are going to stop the launch for today. We're going to transition the launch attempt to a wet dress rehearsal. So that means we're going to continue with the countdown.
Well, that's what progress is all about.
Continue loading
Wow.
propellant, finishing up here shortly on the second
So
stage.
it's a west dress now.
We'll
West
also
dress now.
continue loading propellant onto the first stage, wrapping up at T-minus 3 minutes. We're also
So
going
did
to
they
go
call
through
it, or did they say they're going to
steps.
try and
Other
sort it
steps
out?
of the
Otherwise, they're
countdown.
moving.
This will be
Did I hear that wrong?
validation for the team, but currently the plan right now is we're waiting for final word, is that I think at T-minus 10 seconds, we will finally stop the clock and then recycle the countdown for today. Now we're inside T-minus 8 minutes
So they're
and
going to
counting.
stop it. Well, we'll watch until
Continuing to load propellant
10
on both
seconds
the
and then
first
see what
second stage.
happens.
You can see the Starship second stage. with
that's
the
a bit
heat shield
disappointing.
tiles there.
Well, it means I have to do another
The
live
doors are
stream,
open. You can see the condensation around the first stage tank.
Mitch.
as
We were
load
here
liquid
together
methane,
watching it.
liquid oxygen into the large super heavy first stage. And that propellant loading is continuing until T-minus 3 minutes. As a reminder, Alan,
Jeez,
there's
look at
our
those
great
engines.
view looking up at the Raptor engines, the 33 engines. There's an outer ring of 20 engines, and then there's an inner set of 13.
I know.
Those are the engines.
As soon as I heard him
that
say that
can
word,
adjust the course of
I think it
the
is a scrub,
Starship
isn't it?
vehicle on the way up, and of course the first stage as it comes back down towards the water landing in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, when both stages are loaded, you can see the
if you just join the stream,
condensation
it
frost on
looks
the side
like
of the
it's a
first
scrub.
stage.
I'm going to keep
We'll
streaming
have
until they
just
stop
over
the
10
clock.
million pounds of liquid propellant
I think
on
they're
board.
going to do it at 10 seconds.
Inside T-minus 7
I'm
minutes,
hoping that I
continuing to
heard
count.
them, if they
Team is
can't solve the
preparing
problem,
for
they're
the
scrubbing it. But I
hold
think
and
I'm just
scrub
being
at
over
T-minus 10
optimistic. I think they
seconds.
have scrubbed it. But we'll.
Now, the good news is everything's been going good. We're just working that one issue. So we are continuing to count. Team will get this as an excellent opportunity to run the end-to-end of the system. Now, in a launch, in the next few minutes, the guidance system would be performing its final alignment. We will be doing that this morning. The automated flight termination system would be armed. We won't need to arm it today as we won't be flying, and we'll do.
So it does sound like it's not happening. Yeah. That's unfortunate. The disappointment of a scrub, hey?
Normally, in a countdown, if we needed to hold, there's a view of the second stage Raptor engines, just above the first stage. Now, as I mentioned, in a regular countdown, if we needed to hold, that would come at T-minus 40
You
seconds.
just joined this.
That's the point in the
I'm
countdown where we can pause to
95%
wait for
certain
final
they've called a
checkouts
scrub.
or pressurization
We'll
to
know
complete.
when the countdown gets
Earlier this
to
morning, we thought we
10
might
seconds.
have to
If
hold
the
40 seconds.
10
Everything's
seconds
looking
holds.
good, except for the one pressurization issue that the team is going to have to troubleshoot after this morning.
Okay, so we're going to be back, guys.
Seconds right now.
Mitch, thanks so much for hanging out with me, mate.
And then we'll go into a recycle.
Yeah, okay. You're getting confirmation as well. Yeah, I'll work out when to do the next stream. I'm just going to keep watching this for a bit. So if you've just joined the stream, thanks.
And
They have called a scrub.
Minus 5 minutes. Overall, though, Kate Shiva, it's been a good day. It's a little sad listening to the flight director say that we're going to have to stop at 10 seconds. But I guess that's for everybody. It gives us a real run through of the launch vehicle.
Would have been beautiful
it's
launch. An
unfortunate,
absolute
of course, we
beautiful
wanted
launch.
to see Friday and lift off. But
Never
that's
mind.
the point of
Well,
the countdown
I
is
can
to
now. I
allow
know
teams,
that the technology,
to
my
progress
streaming
that
thing
team
works
time
as
in a
well.
coordinated fashion.
That's
And we want to,
fantastic. I'll
unveil any issues.
Of course,
prior
you can
to
go over
the
and watch
ignition
this on the
sequence.
SpaceX, or you can join
the
me
countdown did
for
its
my
job today. It allowed us
whimsical
to identify
commentary
the
and
press issue
watch my
and,
excited
like John mentioned, the teams are going to work through it, and we're going to
launch.
basically call it off at T-minus 10 seconds.
They are going to
but
call it off
the
at T-minus
integrated
10.
launch teams and us.
Well,
we are
we'll
going
watch.
to
Well,
this
I'll
as
run
a
the clock out with
first
you
goal of
guys,
launch
and
day.
then I'll
We're
disconnect the
into this
stream. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and
And if you want to see more content like this, just
because we
throw
are
a thumbs
wetting
up
the
and,
propellant tanks, we are loading propellant into the vehicle. We've talked about the frost line a little bit here. That exercises the stage 0 system, the ground system, all of our infrastructure that loads propellants onto the pad. That exercises.
Let me just get up my web browser when they could do the
teams.
next.
We're
window
monitoring
launch.
telemetry on the mission control consoles, looking at the pressures and the rates and the temperatures. And some of those things look a little bit different when you're getting up to the pre-flight pressurization levels and full propellant load. So we're learning things today about the integrated tests that are going to set us up for success in a future attempt later on, hopefully in the next 48 hours or so. And Kate, like, it's
they reckon it's going to be in 48 hours. The good news for me is
to,
that I'm on
a
vacation,
pretty,
so I can
around
quite
the
easily
10-second mark. So we're really going
live stream this again.
Everything that we would up until that
I
point.
have to change the
in
title
vehicle
of this
stage
video
development.
to Scrub.
Yeah,
Never
it's,
mind.
Like I said before, any data that we can collect today is super helpful, and that's exactly what we're doing. We are continuing to collect this data and allow the teams to have be better informed for the next attempt. Unfortunately, due to the needing to recycle the propellant, we are looking at a minimum of 48 hours until we are able
So it's
to
a minimum of 48
attempt this
hours.
flight test again. Well, we're not quite sure what that timing will be at the moment, but we're looking at a minimum of 48 minutes or to me,
48 minutes. That would be brilliant.
But Shiva, exactly as you said, things look a little bit different on launch day, and we allowed the countdown to do its job, to basically get to this point, to allow the teams to work through the issues, and we're going to continue, like we said before, we're going to continue all of this down all the way to T-minus 10 seconds, and that will really allow the teams to pretend like this is launch day and continue and gather that data.
Yeah, Kate, it's on the one hand, it's a little bittersweet. On the other hand, we watched them go all the way through. The first stage propellant
I was getting excited, people. I was getting excited.
Even the header tanks up under the
and they've scrubbed.
Starship that you can see on the monitors. Actually, that all went very well today. The weather was excellent.
I think they called a pressurization issue with the Starship, which I've learned today is not the whole.
We're going to continue with it here until
the whole system. It's just the top part of the Starship, and then the super heavy is the bottom part. So I've learned something today, people.
Have just joined us. We're now at T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds to what would have been the launch of our Starship flight test, but unfortunately,
so that whole central section moves.
We are going to utilize today as a wet dress rehearsal. Instead, we are not going to attempt launch. The teams are basically saying that we're scrubbing our launch attempt for today, and we are expecting a minimum of 48 hours in order to recycle. So it's all good news, though. There's nothing really to be sad about.
So we're looking Wednesday, maybe evening, here in Kenya, Thursday morning.
One thing to point out for folks, when we do come back.
So I will. That's good. I'm still on vacation on Thursday, so I'll try and live stream this again. So if there's anybody around that wants to watch this with me, see my excited responses to the launch. Obviously, if you don't want my commentary, you can go over to the SpaceX website and watch what I'm watching here, basically, without my commentary.
On your monitor, you can see there T-minus 40 seconds. We did hit the 40-second hold point.
So, Alexis,
and they are
hello.
For a moment.
It's good to have you guys on the stream. It's been scrubbed. I didn't realize you were watching this stream. So a shout out to Luke Baker. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to restream this on Wednesday evening, or here in Kenya, Thursday morning. So you guys better join in. You better be my number 2. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for all of those. So they've held the clock now at 40 seconds.
So with that, Kate,
it's a bit disappointing, everybody. There we go. I'm going to go back to my camera over here and turn these guys down. Yeah, that's really disappointing, everybody. No success today. It got very, very, very close. I was really excited. I was, wanted to mark a moment in history, my response on camera. But it's not going to happen today. They reckon a minimum of 48 hours, as they were saying, which is so we're coming up to 4:30 in the afternoon here in Kenya. So we're looking at, for us, perhaps maybe a Wednesday evening launch, Thursday morning launch. I don't know. Here in Kenya, my maths is not great enough to work out. That's why I'm not an astronaut. When that will be in the United States. But thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to try and stream it again. I'm on vacation all week, which is great. So I get to hang out. And what's really cool about this is that I've been streaming over a Starlink connection as well. So it's been a good test for me as well. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with me this evening. Throw a thumbs up on this. A few comments if you get the chance to. And then I'll be back, maybe in 48 hours. Take care. Bye, everybody.